Welcome back. We are still here tier ranking all of the general feats in the 2024 Player's Handbook. There are so many to choose from. Last time we covered everything from ability score increase to Great Weapon Masters. So check out the first part of that video for the breakdown on those.
We have a bunch more to go through. This is going to be part 2. So yeah, make sure you watch part 1. And when you're done part 2, we're going to be filming part 3 and putting that out soon enough. So you can put all of these together to learn about all of the general feats because there's a lot of them. But we are going to take a look at the second batch, rank them from S tier down to D tier, and see how they pan out. There's a lot to discuss today, so let's get rolling.
So as we get into it, check out the first episode for the full breakdown on how our criteria work for how we're ranking these. But the basic question that we're asking with these feats is, if you have a character that meets the prerequisites and the general purpose of this feat, is this the first feat that you would take at level 4? Or would you wait to take the feat later at higher levels?
That's the very short version of the whole ranking system.
Yeah.
But yeah, A tier is going to be like, yeah, I'm going to take this. It's one of the first ones. And D tier is like, I probably wouldn't take this because the other options are so much better.
Yeah, and so diving into that, let's start things way down in the bottom with heavily armored. This one boosts your strength or con by 1 and gives you proficiency in heavy armor. You already have to have had proficiency in medium armor or medium armor training to take this feat, which there's a lot of unspoken prerequisites in this feat as well. Because not only do you need that, but to wear heavy armor effectively, you actually do need, namely plate armor, which you're probably wanting to wear if you're considering this feat. You need a strength of 15.
So here we have characters who aren't already proficient in heavy armor, meaning that they're usually not the characters that are focused on strength primarily. Now, there are builds out there where you might be leaning that way, sure,
Yeah.
but there's only a few classes that have medium armor and don't have heavy armor.
Yeah.
And that you want to, why you're putting strength on them, I'm not sure, but you need to put strength in them in order to take the heavily armored feat to justify wearing heavy armor.
Yeah, and Barbarian, you can't, because you can't rage if you're in heavy armor. Druid, you could do it.
I guess,
guess?
but like, what do you, okay, I'm not saying it's not a build option, but it is a very niche build option to be like, I'm going to play a druid with 16 strength in plate armor. Like,
Yeah. Now, a cleric might want to wear heavy armor, but you already have your Holy Order feature, which gives you your heavy armor proficiency. And maybe like you're doing like a weird bard build or some sort of gish where you want to get the heavy armor, but I find at that point you're kind of already jockeying so many other things in your way. And the long and short of it is that if you really wanted that heavy armor proficiency, you could find a way to build your character with multi-classing, that you took your first level as fighter and you get the heavy armor and a bunch of other stuff.
And let's be real here. If you're building a character that's one of these like abstract concepts of like a druid with strength, I would look at multi-class options to build my like melee druid anyway. I wouldn't be looking at playing a straight druid and taking a feat to get heavy armor. I would be probably looking at like a cleric druid or something.
This feat exists because it has to exist, but
it's D tier.
It's like F tier. It's like, just don't take it.
I don't know who's taking this feat or who, and even if somebody was like, here's a build that would use it, my question for you out there is, what about all the other feats like that you could have taken instead of this one?
Like, did you need to boost your AC that badly? Like, maybe, but
take durable.
Yeah. On the other hand, heavy armor master.
Yeah, you don't need to get to heavy armor. You're already here. You're already the master of it.
So this one boosts our strength or con by 1. And whenever we're hit with an attack while we're wearing heavy armor, any bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage by that attack is reduced by an amount equal to your proficiency bonus. This is crazy good. This is a lot of damage reduction, and it yields a very tanky character. It's only a shame you can't combine it with Barbarian Rage. Like, there's no way to get this and Rage at the same time because you can't Rage in heavy armor.
Yeah.
But this is, if you're not raging, this is like one of the best ways to get And
A constant damage
yeah,
reduction.
yeah,
So, okay, let's talk about build chains here. We talked about Crusher before. I think that a character, we haven't even talked about Shield Master, and I'm going to keep bringing it up.
yeah.
Spoilers, Shield Master is pretty great now. So I'm a character with Shield Master, Crusher, Heavy Armor Master, and Sentinel.
That's
I am
tanky.
the tank.
That is, it's super tanky. And what's cool about this is that this, especially at lower levels, this feat is really strong. Like, if you're gonna take this feat, there's a strong argument to take it earlier when, even though your proficiency bonus is like 2 or 3, there's lots of monsters here that are only hitting you for like 4, 5 points of damage. And even monsters that are hitting you for more than that, it's a significant like percentage reduction in the hit that you're taking.
Let's say I'm a dwarf who took the tough feat as my origin feat,
Yeah.
and I'm going into the goblin camp at 4th level, and they're hitting me all like 100 goblin. Who wins? The dwarf with tough and heavy armor master with his crusher. I mean, he doesn't have crusher yet, but he has his hammer and his shield,
Yeah.
and he is taking 1 damage every time that a goblin manages to hit him,
Yeah.
and he's just smacking them all around.
Yeah, I mean, 100 goblins still might
Okay,
win with
yeah,
action
okay,
economy
fine,
there,
fine.
right?
I'm
But
exaggerating, but
but
you
but
get
it
the
it it
idea.
is really good. It is really good. I think it's an A, and it's good to take. It's good to take it right away because the low level benefit, but at higher levels when your proficiency modifier is +5 or +6, it's still not an insignificant amount of damage to be reducing each hit by. Like, even at higher levels, like, think about it like this. A lot of monsters at higher levels, their damage is like 20 to 20 points. That's still a 25% damage reduction when your proficiency modifier is +5. It's significant.
Yeah.
Yep.
And no, it's not gonna save you from fighting the dragon, but that's not why you take this feat.
No.
More often than not, you're not fighting the dragon, you're fighting the minions, you're fighting the Lich's
Yeah.
skeleton army, you're
Yep.
fighting the kobolds, you're fighting even a group of trolls. A lot a lot of enemies, majority of enemies that you face are smacking you with one of these damage types every
Yeah.
turn, and there's usually a bunch of them. And you get to just wave off the annoy it's the minion ignoring feat.
Like, if you thought about, imagine a feat that just said you regain 5 hit points every turn.
You would take it.
That
If you had a feat for regeneration, you gain.
obviously it's not the same,
No.
quite the same, but if you are under fire and you're taking damage every round, this really adds up. I think it's a really solid feat.
On the flip side of that, let's say you're not the character that wears heavy armor. Well, you might be a character who has decent charisma or wisdom, and that brings us to inspiring leader. So you either boost your wisdom or charisma, and then you can give an inspiring speech and boost up to 6 allies with temporary hit points equal to your character level, plus the modifier of the ability that you increase this feat with.
This
What,
is so good.
what's beautiful about this, and comparing it to 2014, it is just a good feat in 2024. It was a good feat in 2014, but they broadened it. It used to only work with charisma.
Yep. And
Now
now it has the ability score boost. So it's a no-brainer as
it,
far as I'm concerned. This is so good for clerics and bards.
it was already good on bards and even sorcerers and warlocks, but
Paladins might consider it.
and yeah,
A
paladins.
druid could take it.
And that's the thing is like
Yeah.
when we think of being an inspiring leader, it used to force the like person who could talk. But I think that wise characters are often the leaders.
Yeah.
And so druids and clerics have wisdom that they can impart on their allies. And I think that it's so good that they open this up to the wisdom characters.
This is one of those feats that I think every party wants someone in the party to take this feat.
If you have
Yeah.
aid and this,
Yeah.
like going into each day with an inspiring speech and a casting of aid, everybody feels ready for whatever
It
they're
makes
gonna
your
face.
party so much tougher. It really does. Um, I like, for an individual character that can take it, it's definitely A tier. I think that this is one of those feats that I would call out and say, like, it's S tier for the group. Like,
Somebody
someone in your party should take this feat.
somebody should take it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's A tier. It's like
Yeah.
either your cleric, your druid, your bard, your warlock, You're a sorcerer. You're a
In
paladin.
our Drakenheim group, our rogue took it.
Yeah.
You took it on Wilhelm, and that, I think, just speaks to the strength of the feat.
I mean, I did also choose that. I mean, okay, here's the thing. I often choose for flavor, but I need it to be impactful as well.
Yeah.
And Wilhelm was one of those characters where, like, yeah, it's a rogue. He's a swashbuckler, though, so I did increase his charisma a
Yeah,
bit.
and it made sense for the character, and I think it's a huge boost for the party, because getting that extra temporary hit point buffer on every short rest that your characters take.
And it's based on your level.
Yeah.
The ability modifier is the bonus, but the fact is that even taking it on a rogue, I'm a 20th level rogue now. That's granting 25.
Yeah, it's kind of like giving everyone in your party sort of, but not really, +2 con.
Yeah.
In terms of the boost in, like, it's a full level's worth, like, boosting up their like, con score
Yeah.
in temporary hit points. Obviously, they can't be healed back, but they're every short rest. It's great. Keen Mind. You gotta have Intelligence 13 to take this one. You boost your int by 1. You get proficiency in one of the knowledge skills. If you already have proficiency in this skill, you get expertise instead. And you can take the study action as a bonus action.
I wish that study had more value. I feel like it's a cool action. Um, in our book, we gave like
Yes,
great information about, but like not every monster in the monster manual has this list of like, if they take the study action, here's what they should learn.
this is the thing. It's like, when we wrote Monsters of Drakenheim, we gave a table of what you learn about the monster when you take the study action. And we gave tangible game mechanic advice on what the dungeon master can relay about, like, you learn if you hit this DC, you learn its resistances, you learn its attacks, you learn its senses and stuff like that. If the monster manual did that too, and if there was some other benefit too, like if taking the study action like gave some sort of other bonus to the party because you'd studied the monster, and it was really worth taking the study action, and so worth it that it was worth having a bonus action, this feat would be way better. But we're now into the realms of trying to justify taking this feat by applying house rules and DM style to save what is, let's be honest, a D tier feat.
Yeah.
Because the only characters that are going to consider this feat are int-based spellcasters, so artificers, wizards, maybe eldritch knights, maybe arcane tricksters. I don't think any of these characters are going to want to take, like...
Keen Mind is not your first, second, third, fourth choice.
No.
There
No
are
way.
other
Not even
feats that you
close.
want to take. And like, yeah, I just don't think that this is worth it.
No.
There are far better options. The only time that this makes any sense, like Monty said, is if your DM is like, if you decide to take the study action, you're going to gain the following benefits for the whole party. And if you lay that out in session 0, then listen to your DM and be like, maybe Keen Mind, it's the best choice. But it probably is.
Like, yeah, and maybe you have a different playstyle than me, where like if your player characters are taking the study action regularly in combat, like, tell me what's like, that tells me that you're designing a set piece battle.
Yeah.
And set piece battles are not every battle. So like there's that. And if you want to get expertise in a knowledge skill, there's other feats that other characters can take that are just better. Yeah.
D tier.
Yeah. Lightly armored. Once again, we get a boost to strength or dex. We get training with light armor and shields. This is one of those feats that has to exist because it has to exist. But you get light armor and shield proficiency by multiclassing into fighter, and then you get a bunch of other things by picking up that fighter level as well. I just don't know why you would take this feat over just taking one fighter level.
Again, would you rather take 2 levels of fighter and gain all of those benefits?
And more?
And more? Oh no, it pushed my feat choice back by 2 levels. Well, you gained enough to make up for it, I assure you. And if you are playing a straight class, most classes, I mean, there are exceptions here. Most classes that want some sort of armor proficiency have it.
Well,
some don't.
The only characters in the game that have no armor proficiency to speak of are wizards and sorcerers, right?
And so could the
And
spell
then
sword or the sword wizard, the sword wizard,
the blade singer.
that's it.
I think the blade singer does give you light armor
Colby's going to kill
proficiency.
me for that.
Yeah. Um and both those classes, like, you can take mage armor and the shield spell and you're fine, right? Like, and this isn't even increasing an ability score that like dexterity maybe.
That's a great point, though. The wizard and the sorcerer, I'm going to take the shield spell and mage armor.
Yeah.
So why would I waste this?
Yeah. It just, and it feels like a thing that like maybe you need to improve your low level survivability, but then by medium levels, like, or you can find like a magic item like Elven Chain, which you can wear even if you're not proficient in it,
Yeah.
or like there's just so many other ways. If you really have to get the armor proficiency, take a level of fighter. Just don't take this feat.
Mage Slayer. Your ability score, you can increase your strength or dexterity by 1. When you attack a creature that's concentrating on a spell, it has disadvantage on the saving throw it makes to maintain concentration. And if you fail an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saving throw, you can succeed instead. Once. You can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. So once per rest, you get to just pass a saving throw.
So this raises my eyebrow because it's legendary resistance the feat.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Oh, I mean, they are the major ones. I mean, the only one that you don't get here that's a big one is dexterity.
Yeah.
But a lot of debilitating effects land on your
In whiz and chassings, yeah.
Now, this isn't a bad feat.
No, I think it's really good. If you're fighting a lot of spellcasters and like have to break concentration and like endure mind control spells and fear spells, this can be a game changer.
Now, this is the nuance to discuss here. Some groups are going to face a whole lot of spellcasters. You're going to face one in every combat encounter.
Yeah.
It could happen. It's actually a very popular thing to do in D&D.
Yeah.
But I will say probably just as popular is not facing a spellcaster in every combat. There are a lot of just raw combat encounters with your group of trolls, your orcs and your goblins, your undead army.
I think it gets a bit of a shift because often the boss monster is a spellcaster.
Yeah.
And so you're thinking, yeah, I want to.
But that also means that this is, so this is the tough part to rank this. It is extremely useful in 1 out of every 3 to 5 combat encounters.
Again, depends on the DM.
Yeah. I'm generalizing.
The other side perspective that you can take on this is that the best way to defeat a spellcaster is not to endure their most powerful spells, it's to slay them before they get the spell off. And ironically, Mage Slayer
has nothing to do with slaying.
It doesn't actually help you slay those spellcasters. It helps you survive the things that they do to you.
Yeah, it should be Mage Survivor. Mage Endurer.
Yes, right?
Endurer.
This is much more of a survival feat. And in general, I'm just going to acknowledge, Kelly and I, me in particular, I am a little bit biased towards offense over defense.
Same. I'm a fireball
for
player.
Me, a defensive feat, like for me, defense has to be like insanely reliable all the time, like flat benefits that are happening every single round. Like,
I mean, I'm even a player who hums and haws about taking resilient because I would rather take something explosive. I'm an explosive player. I like exploding.
So if you're like us, this is probably a C tier feat.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's useful in specific campaigns with specific characters sometimes.
Again, for me, it comes down to, I just want, when I'm taking a feat, like your feat choices are precious. You get 4, if assuming you're playing all the way to level 16, and then you get your epic boon. Maybe you get a couple more if you're a fighter. And I think the fighter is probably the one that maybe you'll fit this in. But like your first 2 feats at level 4 and 8 are really, really precious. And I find that I want to spend them on something that I can use on my terms when I want to, not something that I get to benefit from only when something bad is happening to me that the DM put in front of me. So for me, this is C.
I agree. Here we go.
This is the name of was. So for me, this is C. Okay, so this is future past Monty and Kelly here, post edit Monty and Kelly dropping in for a little bit more commentary on the Mage Slayer feat.
So it turns out we recorded the video, we released it early to our patrons, and in the time between the patrons watching the episode and you guys seeing it, we decided to film this as a little interjection because the patrons strongly disagreed with our ranking of Mage Slayer.
So a lot of our patrons gave the feedback that they felt that the automatic passive saving throw effect, which is effectively legendary resistance, makes the Mage Slayer feat insanely strong. And we agree that that effect is very, very powerful and a strong ace in the hole for characters to have in their back pocket, particularly at high levels of play.
We heard a lot of people in our community arguing on whether this was A tier or some even saying that it was S tier, where we gave it a C tier. We had a discussion with our patrons, had a lot of back and forth, and one of the big questions that we asked is this the first feat that you would take? In our opinion, like we said in the video, the S ranking is sort of this is the first feat you would take, and it works on almost everybody in the whole game. Even A tier it's probably the first feat you would take if it's your build. So the question then came down to, okay, well, if we look at Mage Slayer, which has two parts to it, yes, one part, the part about actually slaying mages, is still somewhat niche, if not very powerful in its niche. If you are fighting a lot of mages, yeah, you should probably consider this feat. The second part of it, which is the legendary resistance, is sort of useful in almost any situation in any campaign.
Yes. However, many of our patrons, when we asked them, so would you make this the first feat that you would take, did concede that it would probably be the second or third feat that they would take. And I agree. I think taking this as your 12th level feat is when it's probably at its best, because by that point, your saving throws you're starting to run into enemies that you might have a 0% chance of actually making the saving throw against their abilities, and those be abilities that you really don't want to fail.
Especially if you're the meathead fighter or barbarian who has dumped their int or
Yeah.
charisma or something, and now you're dealing with a devastating mental effect.
Yeah, and so for this reason, I think we're going to upgrade this ranking to a B, meaning that it, in some cases, in the right campaigns, in the right context, particularly high-level context as your third or fourth feat, it is really, really good, and I think that almost any character should consider it for that reason. I don't I don't I haven't seen anyone take this as their first feat. Now, granted, that's in 2024. It is the 2024 version, but I'd be very surprised if I saw someone make this the first feat that they take. If you feel differently, let us know in the comments. But I do agree that it's a very strong contender for your level 12 feat.
And again, maybe there is the campaign out there where you know going in that you're fighting an evil wizard group that is all mages.
And there
And
are evil wizards in every
I
campaign.
mean, there are evil wizards in every
Yeah.
campaign, but I do think B is the right place for it. We're going to raise it one rank
Yeah.
to sort of justify the fact that it's not as niche as we said it was, and it has potential for
Mhm.
everybody to look at and consider.
Yeah.
Probably not as your build defining feat, but it's something worth looking at.
And that's what it comes down to in the end. It is not a build defining feat, but it is a powerful defensive feat that is worthy of consideration for high level characters.
So, with that, I hope that that clears up the few weeks of thought that we have had on this, and now back to the rest of past Kelly and Monty, ranking the rest of the feats. We'll see if we have to do more interjections if the wider audience really disagrees with
Yeah.
us on a few others. But hey, maybe there'll be a part 2 to 5 times the Dungeon Dudes were wrong.
Indeed.
We'll see.
Thanks again to our patrons for asking us to give this a second thought. Martial weapon training. You gain proficiency with martial weapons and +1 strength or dex. Again, this is take a level fighter. I don't have much to say about this feat.
D tier.
D tier. Take a level fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's proficiency with martial weapons. Like, again, all the arguments that I made for the armor feats, just replace armor with weapons. Same arguments here. It's D tier.
Yeah. Just I don't know what you're doing if you're seriously looking at this feat. Like, you would have gotten basically taking that level of fighter is like 4 feats in one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Medium Armor Master. So this isn't the one that gives you proficiency. We're coming to that one next. This one is boosting our strength or dex by 1. And when we're wearing medium armor, you can add up to 3 dexterity to your AC instead of 2.
But you have to have a 16 in dexterity
Yes,
to use this feat.
in order for this feat to be doing something, you have to be wearing medium armor, and you have to also have a dexterity score of 16.
So here's my conundrum with this feat. If I'm a dexterity character, and I can wear light or medium armor, there's usually a better chance that I just wear light armor and get the same or better AC that I would if I was wearing medium armor with this feat.
Well, if half plate is 15 AC base, so if you're filling out half plate, it's AC 18.
Okay, fair enough.
And the
18 is hard to hit.
And the best
with a
light armor
yeah, is like 12.
is 12. And so it's a difference of 3 points to your AC. Like if you were wearing light armor, but in this case you were wearing medium armor anyways, right? Like a character that has 18 dexterity and wears light armor gets to 16, but didn't have to spend their feet. A character a character could have 20 or 18 dex and still wear medium armor, and they would get like, I mean, the break point here is like, in order to make it better, you still have to be +5 dex with light armor for AC 17.
True. So if I have 16 dex and half plate, then this is a feat.
I just don't know, like you still have to have the 16 dexterity. And I guess like I'm thinking, okay, what are characters that would wear medium armor and also have 16 dexterity? A cleric?
A dexterity paladin?
A dexterity paladin, but you can still wear plate, but you wouldn't in that case because you don't have the strength to do it. So I guess for a dexterity paladin, it's a +1 AC boost. A barbarian that wears medium armor might see a boost here. A cleric might see a boost. Some druids might see a boost.
I think it's a tough feat to use. I don't think it's my first, second, or third choice.
Yeah.
I can't see choosing it.
Like it's not part of boosting your AC to the stratosphere necessarily. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing a build here. I feel like I'm either missing something with this feat entirely or it's just bad. So
I mean,
I'm going to go with D.
I'm going to go with D. It feels like a lot of words to say dexterity-based medium armor wearers get a +1 to their AC.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Which already feels niche.
Yeah.
And I don't know if those characters even want to take this as their first, second, or third feat for a +1 to their AC.
No.
Just get magic armor or something. Or take whatever. Do what you want. Don't take this feat.
Wow. We got a chain of stinkers here because we got moderately armored. This is the feat that gives you proficiency in medium armor.
Same with the one that gave us proficiency in light armor. Same with the one that gave us proficiency in heavy armor. Sure, it's here. Great. Happy. It's D tier.
I feel like medium armor is just the armor that characters that don't that like it's like the middle ground. It's like you didn't get heavy armor, so this is the best you can get. But you're kind of like, yeah, I've got medium armor. This is the best I can wear. I'm going to do my best to fill it out. And my AC's not stellar, but it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like most of the time I work within the armors that I've been given, and it's just fine.
Well, that's just it. Like the character, like when I think of a character that's wearing medium armor, I'm usually thinking of a cleric that didn't take the holy order that gave them heavy armor. So it's a spellcaster-based cleric that you wear the medium armor because it's giving you the best AC you can get.
And you're already one of the best AC spellcasters then.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing. Is like if you're a cleric that has 13 dexterity and you wear half plate and carry a shield, you've got an AC of 18, which is completely respectable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And I just don't know where, like, I don't know what character that's in light armor that wants to just spend a feat boosting this up, yeah, I just wouldn't take it.
Next up, we have Mounted Combatant. You get an ability score increase to your Strength, Dexterity, or Wisdom by 1. You gain Mounted Strike, so while mounted, you have advantage on attack rolls against any unmounted creature within 5 feet of your mount. That's at least one size smaller than the mount. And Leap Aside, if your mount is subjected to an effect that allows it to make a Dexterity saving throw to take only half damage, it instead can take no damage if it succeeds on the saving throw and half damage if it fails. For your mount to gain this benefit, you must be riding it, and neither of you can have the incapacitated condition. You also gain Veer, so while mounted, you can force an attack that hits your mount to hit you instead, as long as you're not incapacitated.
So the Veer thing is what allows your mount to not just die instantly when enemies attack it, because often the thing with mounts in 5th edition in general is that even when we're using spells like Find Steed or creatures that are typically mounts, they usually don't have as many hit points as the player character themselves. Now, there might be and we haven't yet seen a subclass that gives you a mount that has like some sort of scaling hit points with it. Like,
Not
again,
in 2024.
not in 2024. There is Fine Steed, again, but it's usually like a lot of things. Like a warhorse has like 20 hit points, so like it dies to a fireball, right? And so that's all these features are here so that your mount doesn't like die instantly.
And the one feature where if you're riding it, you can do the whole like running by and swinging at your enemies
And
with
it's
advantage.
like, yeah, and then you're attacking with advantage all the time, which is amazing. But we just don't we don't see a lot of mounted combat builds in Dungeons and Dragons because the mounts, even with the effects of this feat, the mounts do die pretty easily, and you're in dungeons.
Yeah, the game's called Dungeons and Dragons. Now I know a lot of Dungeons and Dragons doesn't take place in dungeons.
Yeah.
But there is also a lot of Dungeons & Dragons that does take place in dungeons, and you're probably not riding your horse in there.
Yeah, and so here's what I'll say. There is absolutely a character that is like a Beastmaster Ranger that is playing a halfling Beastmaster Ranger so they can ride their medium-sized.
But then you only have advantage against small creatures.
Exactly. It has to be one size smaller than your mount.
So you
Right.
want a large mount, preferably.
Yeah, so that because we're operating under the assumption that most enemies are going to be medium-sized. And then as monsters get bigger at higher levels, you need a bigger mount to get this benefit against giants and dragons, right? So
I wish that this feat gave us like almost a flyby option where we could ride past an enemy and like hit them and keep moving without provoking
yeah,
opportunity attacks.
I don't know. I don't really know what a good mounted combat feat looks like to me. I think it probably starts somewhere along the lines of like the way this feat is worded slightly is it's like you get to use your hit points for your mount, so your mount doesn't like blow up instantly. And so it gets to stick around, so you get to feel like you're riding the creature, and I think that alone, it like you can build a character with this in mind.
Yeah. I don't think it's garbage. I think it's a C tier.
Yeah.
And because if you want to play the cavalry, you can using this feat. I just don't think the cavalry has a strong place in D&D right now.
Yeah, and I just think that you would be better served by taking some more widely applicable bread and butter that can cover you in situations when your mount isn't there.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the issue is that your mount when your mount dies.
Without my horse, I'm nothing.
Yeah.
Classic cowboy. Classic.
Yeah. So that's what makes
country.
that's what makes this like a good second or third feat. Like I personally speaking for me, this feat is a boon that I reward characters with when I give them special mounts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Do you
actually,
remember I did
yeah,
that?
we went through
Yeah.
Griffin riding training, and because we completed the training, we had to make a few skill checks, and when we completed the training, we gained the mounted combatant feat as
Yeah.
a reward for learning to ride our griffins.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Yeah.
So like if you're wondering about this feat, if you're going to be a DM out there rewarding your players with a cool mount, like they just got raptor mounts or something awesome, have them do a training montage and then grant them this feat.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
basically like being like, now you know how to not let your mount die instantly. Good job.
Actually, that's good advice for all the D tier feats in general.
Yeah, D tier feats, excellent rewards.
Yeah,
Um,
as extra feats. Yeah,
as extra feats on top. Like, don't make
yeah,
them a choice that your players make. Hey, you want to wear heavy armor and you have trained with this heavy armor teacher guy.
yeah,
Here you go. You can now wear heavy armor.
yeah. Observant. This is the counterpoint to Keen Mind, but for wisdom or intelligence. And this one lets you do the search action as a bonus action. It also gives you Keen Observer, which gives you insight, investigation, or perception proficiency, or expertise in it if you already were proficient in it.
I feel the exact same way about this as Keen Mind.
Even though the skill selection here I think is better.
It
Like
is better.
insight, and investigation, and perception are, I find, more broadly applicable skills, and I think the search action is a little more actively used than the study action. So I
True.
think that this one is slightly less D tier
I think it's
than
still D tier. It's not going to be anybody's choice.
yeah,
If you're choosing this first, I want to know why. Um, but it is better
yeah.
than Keen Mind. Or yeah.
I would say it's better than Keen Mind. I think that like taking the search action in combat means that probably you're looking for an enemy that's hiding from you. And that's where this starts to have a reasonable benefit, right?
If you're doing an investigative campaign and you're playing the investigator in a very strongly solving a
Yeah.
mystery campaign, this might be a good choice. It might be.
Oh yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like the flavor of taking like Keen Mind and this and being like the Sherlock Holmes certainly you're going to feel like the Sherlock Holmesy character, but like those benefits all feel very
I mean,
minor.
that very much depends on your mission. If you're Sherlock Holmes and it's like, gotta go fight a red dragon, you're like, okay, it's in the volcano
Yeah.
roaring right now. Like, I don't
Yeah.
need to search or find it. It's there and I'm gonna die.
Piercer. So this is the second of the trifecta of Crusher, Piercer, and Slasher. So this one is boosting strength or dexterity, gives you a re-roll on a piercing damage attack once per round,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives you some extra damage on a crit with a piercing weapon. I think this is totally fine.
It is interesting that when we look at Crusher, Piercer, Slasher, to me, there's a very distinct hierarchy of best to worst.
Yeah.
And I think that Piercer is decent. It's not as great as Crusher. I think Crusher can be used in so many different ways. And I think 5 feet of movement and giving advantage when you crit is actually better than a little bit of damage and the reroll, but it's better this much. I think the Piercer is viable.
I think it's a very good choice for ranged characters, because most ranged weapons deal piercing damage. And that's the notable distinction that it has over
Yep.
the other two, which are almost exclusively melee weapons. This is the one that this is a very good second or third pick for a archer
Yeah.
to get a tangible damage boost.
Now, I'm going to give it a B tier.
Yeah.
And you know what my favorite place to put this on is? An archer champion fighter.
Yeah.
I actually think that is the character because let's face it, as a fighter, we kind of get spoiled for feat choices. And this is one that I would be like, I'm an archer who's fishing for crits, and why not
Yeah.
boost that damage? Gonna get a lot more mileage out of that
I
feature.
think this is really good for the heavy crossbow wielder, because that heavy
Right.
crossbow, that's a D10.
Yeah.
So that's a big spread. So when a D10 rolls a 1, getting to re-roll that is pretty sweet. Like that can be
Yeah.
a meaningful amount of damage, and also getting the extra D10 on a crit is pretty sweet too. So I think that for archers in particular, this is a strong feat to consider.
Yeah. Next up, we come to Poisoner. You get an increase to your dexterity or intelligence score by 1. You gain the ability Potent Poison. When you make a damage roll that deals poison damage, it ignores resistance to poison damage.
Notable, this works on spells.
You can also brew poison. You gain proficiency with a poisoner's kit, and if you spend an hour of work with your kit and spend 50 gold worth of materials, you can create a number of poison doses equal to your proficiency bonus. And as a bonus action, you can apply those to a weapon or a piece of ammunition.
The poisoned item, when it takes damage from the poisoned item, it has to make a con save. The DC is based on your interdex or plus your proficiency, and they take 2d8 poison damage and have the poison condition till the end of your next turn.
So, okay, I want to break this down a little bit. What this feat is actually doing is bypassing badgers and allowing you to buy potions on the road or poisons on the road.
Yeah, so we cite our analysis of resistances. There's like 7 or 8 monsters in the entire monster manual that are resistant to poison damage. The vast majority of the time, a creature is flat out immune to poison damage, and this feat does nothing to help you with poison immunity.
Yeah.
So the one argument for this feat is to play a spellcaster that takes all like the poison damage spells and use this to get around resistances. Unfortunately, like it's just the number of monsters that are resistant to poison damage is basically nil.
Negligible, because a few of them are badgers.
Yeah.
A few of those 7 are badgers.
And the other's an assassin. So badger assassins, this is your ticket.
You can take out badger assassins so well.
The other side of this feat is, as you said, you basically get to go shopping for poisons.
I don't even, now I'm picturing, because I get to go shopping on the road for poisons, I'm picturing the Resident Evil 4 dude following me around with like his coat, and he's like, what are you buying?
Yeah.
Got a lot of good things on sale today, stranger.
So like, okay, if we thought of this as once per day, you can spend 50 gold and deal 2d8 extra damage to a number of attacks equal to your proficiency bonus. Is it worth it for just that extra damage?
You know what I hate about poison? And maybe this is me being bad at D&D, which is a fact. I forget many things when I'm playing.
Yeah.
It takes a bonus action to coat.
Yeah, with this feat, you bonus action. So you know what this is? It's like a weird divine smite.
Yeah.
Because you're spending a bonus action to put the poison on the weapon, and then the weapon has to hit. So it's the next time the weapon hits. And then the target gets to make a con save. And if they make the save, they just take nothing. And I think the poison is expended. Yeah, because the poison retains its potency until you deal damage with the poisoned item.
Even if the poisoned damage is reduced because of the save.
And the saving, it's not half damage, it's all or nothing.
This is a D tier feat.
Yeah.
It upsets me because the idea of a poisoner intrigues me so much, and I think it's such a cool concept in the fantasy realm to play the poisoner. I mean, it's one of the whole reasons we made the Pathogenist.
It's very clunky to use. Like in the best case scenario, before combat, you apply it to your weapon, and then you've got a couple extra doses. So in the best case scenario, it is a damage boost. Like it is objectively, like it's boosting your damage at the cost of a bonus action and gold.
And let's be frank here. We talk a lot about how the resistance thing is dumb because there's not a lot of creatures that have resistances to poison. But majority of the monsters you face are not going to be immune or resistant to poison. If you're fighting cultists or humans or bandits or like humans hate poison.
But it's just it's not a lot. Like it's 2d8 extra damage based on a con save. It is the poison condition is on it too, so you do get that, which does debuff them too. So maybe there is a case for it. It just feels bad.
It feels like a lot of justification to make this a choice that you would take. And again, when I say D tier, I said at the very beginning, unless it's like you're picking it for theme and flavor.
Yeah.
And if you are playing the character who's like, I'm the poison guy, I got all these poisons and I love poisoning people, and you take this feat and you're like, dungeon dudes, you don't know what you're talking about. My poison guy is the best. Then like, sure, your poison guy's so cool.
I think if this feat, like, because also this feat doesn't say you can apply poisons as a bonus action. It says that you can apply this poison as a bonus action.
Yeah.
But if there were, if you had access to more poisons that did more damage, and this feat was letting you use a bunch of different poisons, like, it's like, this is a feat that could be good if there was more of an ecosystem around it, but there
Yeah,
isn't.
this feat highlights how poorly poison is handled in D&D.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, I think for most characters, this is don't bother. Maybe there's an argument for some characters that it is a little bit of a damage boost, and maybe it's worth it for you to spend your bonus action and a lot of gold to get a little bit of extra damage once in a while.
You're playing in a campaign and you take the plot of the movie Hundreds of Beavers, but you replace it with Assassin Badgers, and this feat is gonna
I mean, I would
save
just
the day.
I would just note that, like, for the extra damage that it's adding, like, taking Fey Touched to get Hunter's Mark is probably, and only being able to cast Hunter's Mark once per day is probably going to boost your character's damage more than this feat would.
Yeah.
Polearm Master. This is my favorite feat in the game. Is it? No. But I think that a lot of people would have said it was, with the way we used to talk about this feat. And it's still good. It increases your strength or dex by 1. You get the pole strike that immediately after you attack with a quarterstaff, spear, or a weapon that has both the heavy and reach properties. You get a bonus action attack that does 1d4 damage plus the weapon's damage. So it's just straight up kind of dual wielding extra bonus action attack with your big heavy weapon. And then you also get a reactive strike that you can take a reaction against a creature that enters the reach of your weapon, whether it's a quarterstaff, spear, or a heavy reach weapon.
Okay. In 2014, Monty and I were a broken record of saying Great Weapon Master, Polearm Master, Great Weapon Master, Polearm Master, every single martial build, Great Weapon Master, Polearm Master. What I will say in 2024 has done a better job of versatility in build options.
Yeah.
I no longer think that Polearm Master, Great Weapon Master is the only option that you should be looking at as a melee combatant. You can be looking at dual wielding, you can be looking at archery, all of them are viable. I still do think that if you want to take a heavy two-handed weapon with reach, or even a quarterstaff or a spear, that you should still be taking Great Weapon Master, Polearm Master. This is still the option for that build. So with that, like, this is an A tier. It's no longer, in 2014 they were the S tier options, and it was like, pick this over dual wielding, over being an archer. Like, if you're a melee character, pick these two feats and win. Now it's like, if you want to play this type of character, these are great.
Yeah, it doesn't quite have the synergy that it did with Great Weapon Master, because you don't get none of the Great Weapon Master benefits work here.
Yeah.
Right?
But there's still a good 1-2 punch.
Yeah, and you can actually have a character that takes this and doesn't take Great Weapon Master. I don't really know why you would, but maybe because you want to take other feats first.
I mean, the monk with the quarterstaff and defensive duelist, and that.
Oddly enough, though, a monk, you're still, the reason why you're taking this feat is because of the bonus action attack.
Right. And
a lot of the time,
and I would rather take Grappler and Crusher.
I love, so Polearm Master was also errated in 2014 to add the spear to the list. I do like the spear and shield Spartan build.
Yeah.
That's possible with this. And I think that that's the alternative take to it that is really possible here, is doing spear, shield, take Polearm Master with Shield Master with Sentinel. Note that the reactive strike isn't an opportunity attack, so it doesn't quite combine with Sentinel in the same way, but it's still sweet.
Good old reliable resilient. You choose an ability score and you gain an increase in that, and you gain proficiency in your saving throws for that ability.
I think that this used to be a feat that when variant humans could take it at level 1, it was pretty amazing. Nowadays, I think that this feat is like everyone's second or third pick. This is a very popular level 12 feat.
If we come back to our cheeseburger and we have the cheese, and there's some feats that are the bacon, this is like your onions on your burger.
This is like the vegetables that you put on your burger in the fantasy that it will make it healthy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh yeah, I should have something there to keep me alive. I'll take Resilient.
I'll put a lettuce leaf on it.
Yeah, that'll make it health. That'll get me my
Who decided that lettuce? I guess it adds a crunch. Okay. Anyway, so does bacon. Um, you could give me a burger with just bacon, cheese, and like my condiments,
Honestly, caramelized onions.
caramelized onions. Resilient. Okay, what I'm saying is resilient is the pick late game that you take if you don't have any other feats to take. It's always a good choice. I took it on a character because I was aware that the end game was going to see me making a lot of wisdom saving throws.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm sick of failing those wisdom saving throws. So I took resilient wisdom
Yeah.
because that kept coming up for me.
Let's be honest with ourselves. There's two versions of this feat that you see people taking: resilient constitution
Yep.
and resilient wisdom. I don't think I've seen anyone take resilient dexterity. And I don't think I've seen anyone take resilient for the other ability scores ever.
No, I think it's mostly because in late game, you're either a spellcaster struggling with concentration,
Yeah.
or you're a character getting dummied by those terrible wisdom saving throw spells.
Yeah.
So it's a B.
Yeah.
Because it is always useful, but it is never the first choice.
Yeah. And I think the con version of it is really good as well if it's doing the rounding up of your con score from like a 15 to a 16 or a 17 to an 18 or even a 13 to a 14. I would very rarely play a character that started with a 13 con, but
It happens.
yeah. Ritual Caster. You get a bonus to Int, Wiz, or Cha, and then you get to learn first level ritual spells and cast other spells that are rituals faster once per day. This used to let you learn like ritual spells of much higher level, and I don't know why they changed that because I feel like that makes it suck now.
So this one is one of the weirdest changes for me because Ritual Caster never, ever even crossed my mind as being an issue at any table. Taking Ritual Caster was a feat choice that you had to make for a character who wanted access to ritual spells, and gaining access to all ritual spells felt like it was worth the feat choice.
Yeah, and here's the other thing now. It used to be that different characters, certain spellcasters couldn't cast spells as rituals by default. But now everyone can. If you know a spell as a ritual, you can cast it as a ritual. Wizards get a little bit more flexibility there than otherwise, but like, so if you're already a spellcaster and you already know rituals, you don't need this feat. The only reason why you would take this feat is because you want to access first level rituals from another class, which namely speaking are going to be like comprehend languages, Tensor's floating disk, and find familiar.
Really, this is a feat to gain Find Familiar, in my opinion.
And then you could have gotten that with Magic Initiate.
Right.
Right. There's a few other ritual spells, but the fact that you don't get higher level ritual spells, I just kind of think kills this.
I, as a feat that I currently have on a 2014 character, I'm disappointed and I don't like this, and it's a D tier.
Yeah, because like this feat used to be useful for being able to get access to the ritual-based divination spells, water breathing.
An entire plot line of our campaign is that my sorcerer gained Ritual Caster and then gained contact other...
And telepathic bond.
Telepathic bond and contact other plane have been like game defining rituals that weren't broken. It just gave our spellcaster in the party the ability to do something special. So
I don't get this change.
I think it's a D tier.
I don't get it, and this is don't like.
You don't need Ritual Caster anymore.
Yeah. Whew. That felt like a rough road. This
episode 2.
We handed out a lot of D and C tier rankings this one.
It was a bad batch.
It's a rough finish. I hope we've got a strong finish coming up. Because things kind of started off.
Hopefully you've watched part 1.
Yeah.
And continue on to part 3. Don't worry, there are good feats out there, we promise. It just seems that the middle alphabetically is where a lot of the garbage fell.
It's like a subprime mortgage, right? Like they put all the A tiers on the outsides and then filled the middle with
So, if you think we got any of these wrong, I'd actually, again, Monty and I are basing this on our play experience, our bias, what we've seen at our tables and our friends' tables and heard stories about and all of that. You might have a different experience, and I actually would love to know if some of the ones that we gave C and D tier have been incredibly useful. And if they are incredibly useful, I want to hear more than just like the one weird niche build at the one weird niche table where Poisoner was the game-winning feat, and by taking it, you saved the planet, the whole
Yeah,
world.
because I think that this is an important distinction, is that the plural of anecdote is not data. And, like, one anecdotal situation where everything in the game in isolation has the possibility to be the thing that made the difference once.
I'm sorry to call out a few of our commenters, but I occasionally see a comment that's like, you gave my favorite thing a C tier. On my table, my DM made these 8 homebrew rules, and I took this feat, which they also homebrewed, and it is great. And I'm like, okay, that's irrelevant.
And again, we have our biases. I acknowledge that, but like generally speaking, like with feats, again, our overall mentality and our biases that feats are precious, right? You only get
4,
4, maybe
6,
5, 6 of them.
if you're a fighter.
And so if you can get the benefits of the feat in another way that isn't as costly, like from a spell or from multi-classing or something like that, then it's a much harder sell.
And if you are out there and you're running a Hundreds of Beavers Assassin Badger campaign, I really want to know about that too.
When you're moderately armored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're Poisoner and you're...
Armored Badger Assassin Poison Masters.
Yeah.
That cast rituals.
I want to hear about it. I want to hear about that campaign.
Yeah.
In the comments below.
The videos that we make on our channel are made possible thanks to the incredible generosity of our Patreon supporters. We got some great rewards for our Patreon supporters now. We did a huge update to our Patreon at the start of the year, and it rocks. We got extra content, extra videos from us, and exclusive actual play episodes DM'd by Kelly. It's super awesome. So be sure to check out our Patreon and subscribe to support the channel.
And if you want to see us using some of these poorly received feats in the 2014 rules in our actual play, you can check that out right here on YouTube. All the previous episodes are right up over here.
And we got plenty more tier ranking videos for the 2024 rules right up over here.
Please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and ring that bell so that you never miss an episode.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time
in the dungeon.